interesting morning. Uh, the chemists, the pharmacy, that use the word pharmacy about 20 times in a 3-minute phone call, so I called it the perfect pharmacy. So that may be why they're not answering the phone, despite the fact that it was them who started using the word pharmacy about 20 times in a 3-minute call, isn't answering the phone. They would have been put up to it, obviously. And what they would have been put up to it by was people who may not even know that they were working under the auspices of Architect Power. And I think it's now 29 years, and now after the attempt at the Easter holiday massacre that fell flat. With so many attempts at denouements, that it's safe to say this is sort of permanent now. I rang this advocacy service to try and get through to the Perfect Pharmacy, the on-site advocacy service in Worcester. That will have been co-opted pretty quick, if it wasn't co-opted already, which I think we know it is, in relation to me at least, to ring the pharmacy or to go down there to pick up meds, whatever they're concocting, maybe another stint in hospital, maybe injections, because without them actually realising it, this is, they are running around for Hollywood B-movie type stuff. They will have normalised, I'm guessing, some guy shouting his head off outside a coffee shop. To me it's mad, to them they'll normalise it eventually. Just like they normalised the architects, and just about any crazy stunts going, including, interestingly, on the ward, when it became blatantly obvious they were really off their fucking heads. They'd run around to try and establish themselves as the yardstick of all this, that and everything, which a healthy system would acknowledge, we've lost the plot, and would work around that, not them. And that is an indication to me that they are under the auspices of Architect Power. But anyway, that owes a lot to what I've mentioned before about Wayne Good, and it's perfectly safe to mention his name now. Everyone knows his name. Coming round my house in 97, 98. Coming there, trying to do my head in, not succeeding, because the stuff he was coming out with I wasn't bothered by at that stage. Sort of, not even responding to when he said his girlfriend was all right now, Nikki Page. Because I knew you were having a fucking laugh, ain't you? I just said, how's your mum? Just to, not even answer it, not even go there, because I really didn't want to go there. And then as he was confronted with me, the bullshit that he built up, that he'd been part of building up, sort of he started to see the reality of the situation, and then he started blubbering like a big baby. But then when he was on the doorstep leaving, and this is an indication of notions of seeking external forms of validation, like I'd argue so many people do now. This is why you see so many performances out and about. I'd argue that owe a lot to advertising. He started trying to be all bolshy and full of beans and all the rest of it. You took the whole thing, and you've looked at the whole thing and you thought, yeah, the guy's off his head. But like now they're normalised. They've been normalising them for that fucking long. The people who've been taken in by Architect Power, that they will have normalised them completely, pitted me in certain ways in relation to them. They, again, like people, for example, people on the ward, workers on the ward, normalising themselves despite clearly demonstrating they've been off their heads, the architects are off their heads. Wayne Good, when he came to my house, was off his head. He started to realise it. Then with his with notions of seeking external validation, he started to, because he was going back to his to the people who would encourage him. He started to, go off on one again. I've tried to ring the pharmacy. Now this has been arranged. We all know that for them not to answer the phone when I ring up about meds. Whatever big deal drama they're working at, it will owe, as it always will, and as it always has, owe a lot to Architecture Power. In Hollywood B movie type stuff, as well as the rest of the elements. And they will continue at that. They can drug me up as much as they like and make me appear, and I don't so much question it anymore, but appear to be this, that, whatever, in whatever state. But like I said, I sort of compartmentalise it. I know when I'm not drugged up, when I'm not covertly drugged, what the situation is. I know what the situation is when I am covertly drugged up. This is the nature of Architect Power. Also in the nature of Architect Power, like I've said, is the fact that people run around to normalise stuff. For example, I can point out something that's really fucking crazy. Some guy pushed in a wheelchair to sit alongside me, adjacent to me, shouting his head off to be noticed. That's crazy. By now, chances are it's been normalised. And a whole load of other stuff as well. That's just the nature of Architect Power. And now I think it's safe to say, after 29 years of this going on, and how quick these epilogues, I can point out this is what's going on, that's what's going on. It will never work. They can try. The people who thought they were working for certain things, really always working under the control of Architect Power. Ultimately, as we can see, will always default to the architects. I've said that before. I had hopes, like I said in the other video, about psychiatry eventually and other disciplines. But like I said in another video, I really have. It really is time for everyone to admit that the theorists, people like Foucault, people like Gramsci, people like Goffman, for example, the critical discourse analysis people, they sort of knew what they were on about, we get other palavers that have gone on this morning. Do I really need to argue the toss? I could very easily. There are arguments that are very easy to win. But I think it's safe also to say that all that is permanent now. It is permanent that I will be drugged up in different ways. I was in a phone call this morning when I was letting off steam. And also, I didn't realise at the time, preparing for the type of drug-ins I got in January, incredibly demanding stuff. I do sort of need to be prepared for that if it happens. It might happen, it might not. But I don't know whether I really do need to prepare in the way I was preparing. But anyway, if it takes place, it takes place. I don't think anyone's really got any control over that, ultimately. But so the pharmacy across the way has been put up to not answering the phone. Anything it would have done, including not answering the phone. It's sort of hooked up by people that are stuck in Hollywood mindset type stuff, pulling Hollywood mindset type B-movie type stunts, and then assessing and working off the back of stuff with Hollywood B-movie mindsets. And it will always default to Architect Power. It is time for everyone to admit there ain't ever going to be a way out of that. After 29 years, after the Easter holiday massacre that fell flat, to the point where even after it fell flat, they still kept on with it. That should tell people, hang on a sec, we really are. This really is permanent. We are never, from the minute Kath Merrick, and it is safe to use her name, and valid, just like it was with me in the supermarket mentioning Patrick O'Connor's name. Would we have had white and black cars and church bells ringing if it weren't for Patrick O'Connor? I very much doubt so. Say what you like about that. The argument needs to be made. They're making one argument off the back of that, and I'm not supposed to respond? Anyway, it's permanent. It goes without saying that this is permanent by now. I can sort things out within seconds. They will run around repeating sort of that thing that Wayne Good did in 97, 98 when he came round the house. Tried to do me head in about things that were either resolved or wasn't interested in anyway anymore, and failed. And then when he started to see, well, hang on a sec, something's not right here, he started to reduce to a blubbering baby. And then when he was on the doorstep, he, in some sort of thing that implies seeking external validation, external sources of validation, sort of suddenly picked himself up, sort of thing, which sort of is indicative of how psychiatry apparently treats third-party statements. The more people say something is taken as the gospel, interesting term, against the individual, sort of thing. But yeah, and it is. It's more attempts undoubtedly are going to be tried for drug-ins, for example. Like I said, me preparing for the type of drug-ins that took place in January. The type of drug-ins that took place today. I went to bed earlier, and there were drug-ins to make me feel incredibly uncomfortable. It's on the basis of Hollywood B-movie type mindsets. That's on the basis of architecture power. That type of thing will take place. It suits a Hollywood B-movie type scenario. That will take place probably for the rest of my days. I can speculate till the cows come home about why the local pharmacy all of a sudden doesn't want to pick up the phone and do the simple process of delivering meds, despite shrinks saying, "Oh, stay on meds." So for the foreseeable future, I will stay on meds. What's the intention? Now I've got to start planning around not only not being able to have meds, but the Hollywood B movie type stuff that again is under the auspices of architect power. What stunt's going to be pulled off the back of that? That will again be, in no small part, it'll have all those four elements and the rest of it. Going for denouements. You would have thought after the attempts at the Easter holiday massacre that just took place, which fell flat, people would have suddenly thought, we're trying again, and we still can't get the denouement, that's or whatever. Anyway, but it is time to for everyone to acknowledge that whatever our greater hopes were, the theorists like Goffman, Foucault and Gramsci were pretty much right all along. The type of, like I say, the normalisation of some guy in a wheelchair being pushed to be adjacent to me and scream his head off, to be noticed. The fact that individuals are running downstairs to someone's flat, who the occupant of the flat apparently doesn't even know. All that is sort of normalised, and that should say just how things are and how things are always going to be. I'm pretty much reconciled to that now. It does make sense to accept. Yeah, everything's been tried. Nothing's ever subverted. For long enough, substantially enough, because nothing will ever be long enough, nothing will ever be substantial enough, architect power. I could see that in Kath Merrick on the day she took the photograph at someone's wedding. The vibe about the woman was very, very fucking strange. That was, normalised, in ways that, swept a certain proportion of the people in this town. Initially, the people were more than buzzing to be part of, and to the point where in 2000 you couldn't even just get on with it in your own house. It's like I say, no amount of power is enough for architect power. It will always want more. It will always need more, and that was, if people had any nous in 2000, they could have seen that. That the drive for a certain denouement just overrode everything else. To the point where people would say, we have to use a hammer to crack a nut. Now you've got people on the hospital ward saying, you're killing them. Who is them and how am I killing them, sort of thing. Any flight of fancy can be used and normalised by people who position themselves without even realising it's architect power they're ultimately working for. In order to bring about a certain denouement or whatever. That's always going to be the case. It's pointless. I will be drugged up at times to make me look in certain ways. It is unacceptable to architect power, like it was in 2000. For me to just chill out in my house, to get on with stuff, to enjoy what I was doing. The likes of Kath and Stephen Merrick and Wayne Good and Nicky Page were going to let that happen? Of course they weren't. And pretty much once that was baked into the system, as I'd argue it was, the minute Kath Merrick clicked the shutter on a camera and then went running around with it, that was always going to be the case. And at times I did say, despite hoping that things would be different or could be different, it never will be, will it? And I've got to wonder, why did people not spot architect power and how it worked, and why have they persisted with it for so long, and why haven't people realised, well, this is sort of the way it's always going to be. So today's drugging was indicative, to me at least, that maybe they're starting to normalise some of the stuff that's even, the lot of it's crazy to me, but some of it is made to look good. Some of it is blatantly crazy, like the guy outside the coffee shop screaming his head off, like people running to a flat, the apparent occupant of which doesn't even know the people fucking going there. And this is the nature of it. So I hope that me pointing out I was thinking in this flat, laughing stuff off like I should have done with the architects. It's basically the same stunts that the architects pulled off. There's really nothing different. And like I say, it really is time that everyone acknowledges, whenever I go downtown, and unless there's some denouement to even prevent that, there will have to be and enough power. And like I say, no amount of power will be enough, but there may be some form of mechanism. I'm under just about every coercive measure they can be under psychiatry. I'm on as much medication as they can put someone on under psychiatry. Psychiatry that has been co-opted and colonised by architect power, and that apparently has colonising instincts anyway. Not sure about that. But like I said, and it is time for me to accept that. But again, even me saying that, you watch how that will be prevented too. You know, it is in the interest of a Hollywood B movie mindset and architect power to keep drugging me up, to make me feel discomfort at times, to normalise just about any crazy thing, any stunt that can be pulled, to try and keep me within arguments that belong to the architects and the manufactured amalgam. For me, it's to just accept that's always going to be the case. To occasionally, say my piece, maybe sometimes quite a lot. I don't think I'm going to prep as much about the druggings that probably will take place eventually, like the druggings in January. I have got to be ready for that. It will be demanding, but I came through it once, I'm sure I can come through it again, even though, and this is how crazy architect power is, there will be a concerted effort, I'm sure, to make that even more difficult to come through. That's the nature of architect power. Events will take place in the lead up to that, whether I'm doing anything or not. I'll just bring that about. But I was supposed to get a parcel today. I was supposed to, probably wasn't. But there was shenanigans around that. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I've got to get back in that vibe of just accepting. This is what Hollywood. This is Hollywood B movie stuff. I will have some standard services from Sharps, from so on and so forth. I will, have people coming out with key phrases probably for the rest of my life. That's no major thing. But just adapt to it and get on with it. you know what I've said about that though, didn't you? But anyway, crazy stuff. Just once we get a black car. How's Patrick O'Connor then? I don't bloody know. But anyway, oh dear. Well, don't put the bloody cars out there, isn't it? Get on with my day.